Hey everybody, how's it going? So welcome to you all, so old and new viewers, you are all very welcome here. I did a quick poll on Facebook and all of you desperately wanted some kind of a new park project. So here we are, we're in a brand new park. Welcome to a brand new series then, it's called Reel Up My Park from Scratch. Really imaginative title, right? I wanted to sort of take the Reel Up My Ride principle and apply it to a whole brand new park. So that's kind of why it's got a bit of a rubbish title really. But don't worry, Reel Up My Ride is still going to continue, so please carry on sending me all of your blueprints for that. I really love doing those, especially as I like taking the work that you've done, seeing all of the inspiration that you guys have done, and then adding my own little twist of realism to it. So I really like doing that, but this park project just means that I can do something very differently indeed. So please still keep sending across all of your blueprints and everything to me. So I've also got some really big exciting news as well, so if you haven't already heard, I've just joined the PC Imaginers group, so I'm going to be able to push that element of realism to the absolute next level, because I'm going to work with a couple of incredibly talented people, so Jeremy and John. I'm so excited for this. It's like, this enables me to do this series in a whole brand new way, in a whole brand new spectrum of realism, because those guys are just going to absolutely push the most out of me. So I want to put that into this brand new series. By doing a park from scratch, I can really lift the bar on that realism. And like I say, Jeremy and John are so incredibly talented, so incredibly supportive, that they're going to help me really raise that bar and do that. So I'll still follow the whole reel up format though. So what I'll do is I'll build some of the park, I'll update you, I'll talk you through all of the reasons that things are placed where they are, the whys, the whats, the wherefores, and everything that you're used to with the reel up series. But now I just get to do it right from the very beginning, in my own way, in my own little land, if you like, and we can then pull a park together as a community and as a group. So I did have a park already started as well, but the park I had ended up being really similar to Jeremy's Discovery Gardens. So I decided to start again, and this is the third time I've decided to start again. If you do want to stay in touch, then you absolutely know what to do. Subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, or whatever. You know, I really would love to have you along for this ride. Without you guys as the community, this series would not be a success. So, like, I'm doing this because you guys love it. So what we're planning for this park then. So all of my parks that I've done in the past tend to be those that start in the middle and span out in like a fan. I wanted to do something different. And these were the first two as well, by the way. I did this whole idea of central idea and moving out. But I wanted to do something different. So I'm actually in this new park, and I'm going to do it as a sprawling out from a corner, a diagonal. I think it's probably a nice change, and there's a couple of parks actually that I've worked with in real life that have this principle. So I kind of want to put some car parks along the perimeter along here, maybe coach park down here, normal car park up here, entrance plaza here, and then it spans out. I'd like to have some kind of water features. I'd like to have a bit of a sizable park. We're talking a park probably around the size of something like Energylandia, maybe Hyder Park, maybe something like Alton Towers, those Gardaland, those kinds of size, Six Flags, Magic Mountain maybe, that kind of size, that kind of stature. But the theme is going to be quite generic. I'm going to keep it very, very generic. You know, we're talking Canada's Wonderland, Six Flags, Thorpe Park style, more amusement park than theme park. So that's my initial thoughts. Obviously we're going to do this episode by episode, so we're not going to have a park by the end of this episode. We're going to be working on the entrance area, starting to pull that together, maybe the car park. I don't know what's going to happen yet. So actually, do you know what, let's just find out, shall we? Should we just cut to the first update? Let's do that. Alright, so here we are with the first update then. And when you're dealing with planning of a park, this is the bit that takes the longest. It's the planning out of your facilities, your entrance area and everything. So what you're seeing here is actually about a day and a half's worth of work. But when you look at it, you think, well, what have you done in a day and a half? What's actually been achieved? And actually there's quite a lot. It's all subtle underlying details that have all come together for this. And so what I've done here is I've started to plan out what facilities I'm going to need within my entrance area and plaza. And so that list is typically tickets, turnstiles, annual passes, gift shops, food, business receptions, lockers, car park, coach park and security. There's a lot that you need to take into account when you've got an entrance area. It's probably one of the busiest facility areas that you're going to have in your park. So let's walk through all of this and show you all of these bits individually one by one to show you what I've done. So the first is the tickets. So I've got 2 ticket booths that have been set up. I've got one on the left and I've got one on the right. And the idea is that the one on the left would service the car park all along here. So you would park your car, walk along the path, and then straight away you're into your tickets. And then the other side on the right hand side is going to be the ones that's going to service your coach park. So typically coaches would have already pre-bought their tickets. They just need to be picked up rather than purchased on the day. So you'd disembark on your coach, you'd walk along the path, and then you come and pick up your tickets here if you haven't already got them, of course. And so again, I'm thinking of that guest flow, thinking back to episode 3 when we were talking about it in the plazas. So I've got guests coming from this way and they would typically come through this way, and then I've got guests coming from the coach park and they would come through and this way. So I'm not actually crossing the paths of 2 very busy traffic areas, essentially. They've almost got their own entrances to go through. So the next thing then is your turnstiles. So your turnstiles here, it's going to be enough to have probably 8 turnstiles maybe. That would be sufficient for the park of this sort of size. I did have it much wider. I had them out here, but then it felt like it just took too much space in terms of scale and everything. And scale is quite difficult in Planet Coaster, as we all know. It's something that is a bit of a challenge. And I mean, even now this looks massive because I've put this ride in, this merry-go-round in for a bit of scalability, and there's a couple of cars and a couple of arches and everything. So yeah, scale is difficult, especially when you're dealing with a park and you don't know how busy your park is going to be. But this is now starting to set it out quite nicely. So anyway, they're your turnstiles, and I've taken the executive decision to not have obvious security checkpoints. So we have parks in our portfolio that don't have that. They do it on the sly. They do it sort of from a distance. They'll watch people and then they'll randomly approach people and take them away as they're walking through the turnstiles, purely because people are more relaxed that way. So if you've got something to hide, you give off a certain body language and the security teams are trained to spot that body language, but then you're not creating anxiety amongst those that are innocent as well. So whereas other parks will do an obvious upfront security check, and that works for their park because that's what's required of them, and that's required of them from the area and everything, this park is going to be one of those parks that are going to watch out for the people because their security staff are highly trained and looking out for certain individuals and certain body languages. So if we were to do it, it would either be the other side of the turnstiles just as people walk in, or it would be in front of the turnstile so you can turn them away before you even let them through. If you've let a guest through a turnstile, it's slightly more difficult to eject them for any reason. You have to have more solid reasons, whereas if it's before they enter, then you have the ability to just turn somebody away. Think of the current situation we've got going on with temperature checks. That kind of facility, if they're already in the park, it's more difficult to get rid of them. If they haven't got into the park yet, you can just turn them away, refund them, job done. So the next thing I've done then is the annual pass office, and I've split this into 2. So think of the airport principle on this in the sense that you would have airside and landside. And so I've got an office that would split the 2 offices, and it would feed. You'd be able to walk between one office and the other office through this back office. I think this is probably going to be a bit too small. I'm going to need to do something with it. But this is the idea that you can either pick up and purchase your annual passes from before the turnstiles, or you can do it after the turnstiles. But either office is exactly the same office. It makes no difference which one you use, but you just can't travel between the 2. So there, it's very much cut off by this wall that we've got here. Gift shop wise, then I've left a position for this up here. I only wanted a small gift shop. I kind of figured that you'd have better monetization options elsewhere in the park, because this is only going to be busy at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and so typically your gift shop here would only be busy at the end of the day. So I just wanted a smaller gift shop area here. And then food-wise, I thought this could be a pretty decent place to put some kind of food. And I'm thinking this might actually be Berg's when I come around to doing it. So this is like going to be a burger place that's just going to be able to pick up something quick along the way. If you happen to be walking past the plaza and you want something to eat as you're walking through, then you've got something here. But remembering that this area here is only going to be used heavily twice a day, at the beginning of the day when people don't care about food, and at the end of the day when they just want to go home. So you don't. In this instance, we don't really think we're going to need many food options in this area. So we've got lockers, so I've put the space for the lockers area here. Obviously the park is going to have other spaces for lockers as well, but you typically tend to find some kind of guest services lockers area that's going to be here. We've also got the 2 car parks, so again, I'm thinking of that guest flow, splitting them out as much as possible. So your car parks tend to be massive. You tend to almost need a car park that's just as big in area as land area as your actual park is. So if you've got a 400-meter squared park, for example, that's really small. But if you've got a 400-meter square car park area, you're going to need a 400-meter square car park. That's typically what the kind of ratio that you go for. So I think this might actually even be too small for the size of the park that we're planning. But we've also got a coach park the other side as well, and then you would have your traffic somehow, and I need to put this back into the scenario editor and move the train and everything, but you'd have your traffic split out somewhere down here. And you don't need to necessarily worry about there being left and right hand drive and differences and traffic backups and everything, because you're going to have all of your traffic, because we're in the UK, so we drive on the left, so you're going to have all of your traffic in the left hand lanes coming in and all of your traffic on the right hand lanes coming out. You don't have to worry about traditional street traffic and traffic management in that aspect. You're not going to be causing jams both ways. So we just need to find a strategy of allowing coaches to come out and turn what would be right. So we come this way. So your coaches would come out here and turn left and carry on out. So you would only need really a strategy for your cars that are leaving. And then again, your barriers here, they're going to be creating some kind of a backlog anyway, a bottleneck anyway. So they're going to control the flow of the traffic coming through here. So your coaches would actually be okay. But something like a roundabout would work quite nicely, I think. So that's something I need to investigate. And then your coach park, yeah, it's probably about the half the size of your car park, but they carry more guests, remember. So in the world that we're wanting to promote as much public transport as possible, you would also have some kind of a pick up drop off point along here somewhere, and I think it's probably going to come along here, where the buses come through the car park, they come round, and then they come into the drop off here. That's what I'm thinking. I need to sort that bit out. And then the last one is your business reception. So I haven't quite decided where the actual backstage area is going to go, whether the backstage area is going to be here, whether it's going to be here, or whether it's going to be at the back by the coach car park. But whichever you do, you're going to need a business reception, and your business reception would always typically see your more corporate guests. So they would be people like your HR, your finances from other parks, other departments, or other sites and everything. So you would need a business reception, and that business reception would be responsible for seeing in deliveries, seeing in people, meeting rooms, that kind of thing. Would probably be different to an actual admin office building. So typically what would happen is your business guest would arrive, they would check in at business reception, and the business reception would either call somebody to come and take you to where you need to go, or you'd be instructed to go somewhere. So say, for example, you've got a delivery that's coming up to your backstage area up here, your delivery driver would wait here, they'd check in at business reception clears it with back of house, and then you'd be allowed to walk or drive over through, and then they would let you in. Or if you've got somebody that's wanting to come on to park on the out of season, where you need to have certain health and safety checks and everything, you'd go via business reception. They would sign you in so that they know you're on park. And if there's an emergency, they know to come and find you, or they know that you're there. So business reception you tend to find at the entrance of a park somewhere. Sometimes they're really obvious, and sometimes they're really well hidden. And it's the case that only your required guests would know where business reception would be. It's not something that a typical guest would see. So that's something that I'm building into this area here, a small office space that would see our business guests in. So this is where we're at the moment. This is quite a long update actually, but this is, like I say, the biggest one to do. The rest is now more decor and detailing and guest service building I need to put in somewhere, which I think I'm going to put in here. And then yeah, so let's anyway stop chatting. Let's cut to the next update. Here we go. All right, cashier number 3 will see you, please. Go and buy your tickets from there. So here we are with a brand new ticket area, brand new ticket office, and I'm starting to come to the realization actually that this is not going to be an episode where we complete everything in the entrance area, not if we're going for the level of detail that I've ended up putting into these areas. And actually I'm all right with that, because I get to talk you through the finer elements of what's going into these offices, what you'd find in these buildings and everything. So I think this is going to end up being a multi-part series, and I think in this episode we're going to be able to get the turnstiles, the ticket office, and maybe some of the additional bits done, like the toilets and maybe the landscaping outside the front of the actual entrance area itself. So here we are anyway. Here we are with our new ticket office. So I've done the 2 ticket offices. We've got one that's going to be servicing the car area, one that's going to be servicing the coach area, and they're essentially the same layout, just with a few tweaks. And actually, these have closely resembling offices that I know of in some of our parks and some of the parks that I've seen around the world, for different companies and everything. And it shares quite a few similarities with some of them as well. So here we are then with the actual build. So these are put together using a combination of TMTK and also in-game pieces as well. But this is going to be one of those episodes where we are starting to use pieces for their unintended purposes. Whereas as part of Reel Up My Ride, I try and just keep it as generic and basic as I can. So what we've got here is a load of beams. So taken from the TMTK section, I think these are hydro beams. And Jeremy has actually got a thing saying that beams are your friend, and he is absolutely spot on when he says that. A lot of what you're going to see are all beams, but I've gone for this ultra high realism aspect where actually these glass panels are sitting inside glass wedges. So you would see this kind of seam and everything along here. Then you have the actual opening itself, where you would do all of your purchasing and everything, and you then at the other side you've got a till and you've got a computer for reservations. They've got a really bad office chair. You'd probably have better office chairs in a ticket office, to be honest with you, but it's fine. And then we've also got just some pigeonholes just for some paperwork. And then in the UK we have this really weird legislation, and I don't know if it's well known or not, but you have to be a certain distance from a bin. And so you would tend to have like a bin every couple of desks. And I only found this out like when they came around and did our bins, and they gave us far too many bins for the actual office space. And they were like, oh yeah, it's because there's a certain legislation you have to follow. So apparently I'm going for that. Then you've also just got some other elements on here as well. So you've just got the cap pillars. So these are, if I just bring back the thing, so these ones here are just the upside down pillars that have got the caps to them already. There we go. Just turned upside down just to give that thick pillar. These are the hydro awnings that you use in queue covers, and then I've just put some of the steel beams underneath it just to give it something to rest on. Then we've also got the lettering, and again, hydro I think is an hydro special, and I've just sunk those into the actual screens themselves just to make it look like they're numbers on the screen, and then I've just coloured them depending on whether the actual booth would be open or not. And then I do just need to put some kind of visor or blind or whatever in its place just to give that a little bit more realism. I also wanted to give this element of each ticket booth being something in the park. Now, you tend to find them as being rides, but because we don't have any rides to use at the moment, I actually ended up being shops. So this would be like the Tiki Chiki booth, and then you'd have the Cosmic Cow one, you'd have Tuned Delight and Gulpy and whatever. So that's what I've done there with the idea of the posters in the window, that if you didn't know what number it was, then you're actually going to go to a different shop instead. So the door then is just a normal door. I think it's the firehouse door, and then the keypad is just the card, the chip and pin keypad. So I just made that look like it was a number pad on the wall. And then the door is actually matched on the inside as well. Now you sort of have to squint a little bit because this wall is really thick. That door would not be that thick in real life, look, but so you sort of have to squint and make it believable, but it works out quite nicely actually. It's in the right place, and the door handles are on the right side as well. So if you were to have a look from the inside, it's at least believable. So each of the actual booths then have all got the same setup, with a slight, although be it you can't see it very well, a slight variation to how things are sitting, and the chairs are obviously in different places and whatever. Just got some lockers along here then, just for the staff to put their stuff in, and we've just got, I wanted this to be a bit of a meeting area, but it ended up to be a bit more of a collaborative area where you've got a couple of other seats. You wouldn't necessarily find these in this sort of building, but I just had this space I wanted to use, so it's fine. And then we just got these like shared access, these almost hot desks at the back. So parks tend to fill out as much space as they possibly can. So if they don't have the availability of a massive administration building, they'll just put desks and have hot desks wherever you can have them. And so I just wanted this idea of these hot desks that would be here. This one is particularly exposed. I don't think it would necessarily be there, but again, it was a case of what did I fill the wall with. Then I've just put a load of filing cabinets all along here. So this is directly lifted and shifted from one of the parks that I've seen, where they've just got a whole wall of filing cabinets, and then you find all sorts in them. Especially when it comes to administrations, you might find rolls of tickets, you might find historic receipts, and all of that sort of stuff. And you then got all of the screens along the side here that would be showing things like available rides, adverts for annual passes, probably cross-promoting other parks, maybe the availability of certain rides, that sort of thing, you know, like the enhance your day kind of videos. So if anybody wants to make one, then please do. I'll put them in. And then I just put this partition in. So this is again lifted and shifted, where this is really clean side, and the park that I'm thinking of in mind, which I can't tell you which it is, but the park I'm thinking of in mind actually keeps this wall clear. So they don't put anything on this wall at all. They keep it completely clear of everything. And then this side is more Art Deco-y kind of modern decor. You don't tend to have things like notice boards, post-it notes and everything that are up on the walls. It tends to be just nice and coloured, block colour. But then in the middle, you've just got this little bit of an admin area. You've got some coffee mugs, and you've got some in trays, and then you've just got some posters cluttering up the walls, a few boxes, a couple of drinks that are just waiting for you there. And then you come down this way, some more shed space, and then some decoration things on the wall. Again, just blocks of colour, really, just to break up the fact that it's a white wall. And then you've just got some more storage pigeonholes that, again, would have some clutter and everything on the top. And a coffee machine with the coffee stuff on the top as in a box. Like if you wanted to come along and refill the machine, then you could. And then over on the other side, we've just got a bit of a kitchenette area where you've just got some more mugs and some coffees and whatever. There's another bin. And then some more pigeonholes. So again, the whole idea of this office would be more storage than it would be anything else. I've made it functional by putting in a staff building, so that the staff will actually walk through the door down this way and into the staff building and back out again. And then this is also going to come together with the whole business reception area. So we're going to have some meeting rooms and everything along this side, and this is where the reception is going to be. So it's going to come out quite nicely. And then over in the other building, it's just exactly the same setup. So these are lifted and shifted, but the difference being I've put these toys along the side. Set up for the actual booths, all exactly the same. And then this side, I've just made it slightly varied, not so many computer desks, because you wouldn't have such a close proximity of two different hot desking areas. You would just keep it nice and simple. And then I've just put some more vintagey type posters on the wall just to give it a bit of a different feeling. But ultimately, the colours are all still the same. And I just put some more box clutter all along here. And then I've just put another breakout area along here using the same partition, just so you can get away from everything and it's not particularly visible from the actual guest view. So when you look through the guest window, you get this sort of view, and you can see all of the stuff in the background. And like, this is quite real. This is feeling very similar to the ticket offices that I've been to with parks around the world. And it just actually is a good little view. And then each window you look through, it's got a different view again. But I wanted to give the partition, I wanted to have it solid in places so that you've actually got a little bit of privacy if you need it. And then likewise with the other side as well, same sort of view, same sort of setup. You've got the privacy screens in the background, and then you've just got these bits. And so that's the ticket office. So I think the next thing I'm going to work on then is going to be the turnstiles and the front entrance. And I think that's probably going to be able to call it quits there, and then move on to the next episode. So anyway, let's see what happens in the next update, shall we? Let's go. All right, everybody, welcome to Raygate Lake, and we've got a whole brand new entrance area. And I've sort of had to wrap up this episode because I'm now starting to tweak some of the buildings that weren't originally in this episode. So there are still some changes, and there are still some things that I want to tweak along the way, but I need to draw this to a close because we're now entering day 4, and I think this is long enough for an episode. So we've got a whole new entrance area, and we've still got a bit of a work in progress with the rest. So let's take a tour, shall we? So as you can see, here's the whole new entrance area. So I've just started to do all of the foliage. I need to do some work down here in a future episode where we deal with car parks and entrance and access and everything, because I want to be able to bring everything back. So I want to move the terrain back and put a roundabout and stuff in here. So I still need to do that, but we've now got this entrance area. I've put all of the crazy paving down that I want to use, this checkerboard effect that I used in one of the Reel Up My Ride episodes. I loved how that sort of came out and how it looked. And it looks really good from like the peak perspective from the ground view. So I sort of wanted to use that again. We've now got this central statue area, or statue, this central feature area that's now got the name of the park on it. You'll notice there isn't a lake, but there will be. I've decided there's going to be a feature lake in this park, and then we've also just got the logo up on the top board here. Now, I've toyed with this entrance area a lot. It's been double story, it's been 3 stories, it's been a building, it's been flat, it's been completely flat. And this is the final configuration that I came up with. It's sort of borrowing quite a lot from Thorpe Park. It's borrowing a lot from Cedar Fair, Cedar Point as well, and also Canada's Wonderland. It's borrowing a lot from the generic parks. But the one thing that I'm borrowing a lot from Gardaland is this aspect here. So at 10 o'clock every morning, there's going to be some kind of procession going on. So the characters and everything will come up onto the roof and they'll dance, and then there's some pyros, and then when the gates open in the morning you get a whole confetti firing up effect. And so I've built that into this entrance area, so if we hit 10 o'clock in the morning, then we should see it coming. And so along here I've just put all of the confetti cannons in, and I've given them the cabling as well, just to make sure that it's all there. And then we've also got some smoke and some fire effects that are going on here, and so I've given them the cabling. I've also put the electricity box up on the roof. Here's all of our characters. They wouldn't be there during the day, they would actually be people dressed up in suits, but we can't do that in game, right? So we've just kind of got to believe. And then we've just put the safety fencing in to say, no, please don't step behind this line because you've got fire, like real fire, you're going to burn. So I've just put that in there just to make sure that they don't. I don't have a pyro sign, so I've just used the right area sign. It gives the same effect, it's the same sign essentially. And then we've got the actual entrance area here, so I've given it a disabled access point, so you can come in with your wheelchairs and everything, so you've got that bit. And then you've also got the turnstiles, so they're all in now quite nicely. And then inside you've just got the staff members helping you out, some CCTV and some lighting. And I've also just done some detailing along some beams and also along the skylights as well, just to give it a bit more realism, a bit more of an effect to it. So that's just the sort of effect that we're going for. Very much borrowed heavily from Thorpe Park's entrance, this one, the idea of the beams. And all of the beams are supported as well, so they're all they have a purpose, they all have a reason for being there. And then we come across this way, so we've got the divide in the middle here. I was toying with the idea of this being a bit of a control centre, but I quite liked it being just a solid brick wall, so that's how I've kept it. Same setup then this side, so you've got your annual passes, then you've got extra day tickets. I didn't do a second disabled entrance for this one, just because you've got one down here, and that's all you'd need for a park of this size. You'd have more than enough capacity for disabled access here, so just kept this as it is. Ticket offices along here then, they've now all been roofed off. They've now got everything that they need to, all of the blinds and the people in it and everything. And we'll do a tour of the office in a minute, so I'll show you on the inside, because they've now got ceilings and everything, so that's all sorted. Just put some CCTV cameras up as well, some signage, and just to make sure that it's all real. This is a building I need to do, and then I've just started to put some facilities in, so some vending machines and everything on this side, some toilets. So this will be pretty much episode 2. It's finishing off these buildings and the back buildings here. And then this side, exactly the same. You've got your ticket office, almost a mirror image of the other one. In fact, it's the other way around. This one over here is a mirror image of this one here, but irrelevant, it's still the same. I've just edited which kiosks are open so that it's not exactly a carbon copy of the same, because you wouldn't open the same windows either side even in real life, so I've just made sure we've kept that consistent. And then the business lounge, I love this business lounge and how it's come together. So I've only done the reception for now, I haven't done anything behind it, so I need to do the office space and everything that would live behind it. But yeah, this business reception with the pink writing really now nicely stands out, and this wood paneling effect on the wall, it's a TMTK item. I think it's like a wood slat wall. It's one single piece. It's got a nice little window, and then when you walk through the door, you come to a reception area where you've got 2 people standing there. I've just put some stuff on the walls. I wanted it to be a bit modern, but I wanted it to be quite clean. So this is what I've gone here. I've just gone for a rainbow on the wall. It doesn't really serve any purpose. It's just there for the sake of having some colour. And then just this wooden front. I've used this before, this effect, and it's just the wooden fence that you get from the Western set. And then you just put art shapes on the top. And I've just put some clutter along the top as well. These would probably be some kind of leaflet stands or whatever. Just some of the cuddly toys, just some paraphernalia for theme parks and everything. And then behind I've just done some clutter. So I've put all of the pigeonholes and everything in underneath as storage. There's a PC, there's a coffee mug apparently floating. I should probably change that. Don't know how that's happened. Random. And then we've just got some marble floor just to keep it quite nice. Nice little waiting area with some books. Whoops. Now there we go. We're in the ceiling. Oh no, done it again. In the ceiling. And yes, just some books on the coffee table, and then the waiting area. Didn't want to do any more with this because this is actually reflective of a real life business reception that we've got, so this would be pretty much what you'd expect. Just those vintage posters as well that I've put on the back wall, splash of colour along the skirting board just to make it a little bit different. And then you've just got what would be this open glass, so you'd be able to see into the offices along here. So this is already glassed off and it's already put together correctly as well in terms of the glass and everything, so that's all ready to go. And then I just put the ceiling in as well, TMTK item ceiling. And we use a lot of spotlights in our company, so we use very low powered but more frequent spotlights rather than high powered, less frequent, and apparently it's cheaper to run. So it's cheaper to run, cheaper to replace doing it that way. So that's what I've done here. I've followed that theme. And so that's the bit. Oh, and the fire extinguishers in the corner. So that's the business lounge. Now let's take another look at the area. So yeah, this is the area. I've put the queues in. The bins are functional, so I've hidden the studio's bins underneath the bins. So they actually work. And then we go ticket booth. So I've just put the entrance signs and everything on. And now you walk into the office and it actually feels like an actual office. So I'm so pleased with how this has turned out. It's really clean, really quite modern. It looks like it should. There's a couple of detailing bits that I would like to have. So I wish we had notice boards. I wish we had plug sockets and that sort of stuff. But you have to know when to stop, right? You have to know when enough is enough. This is already hitting 20,000 pieces and I've only done an entrance. And that's more than some parks I've done. So you have to sort of know when to stop. But look, it looks so believable. I love it. Yeah, so you've just got all of the... Oh, and the staff walk past. Here he is, quite grumpy. Bye. So yeah, all of the staff are waiting, and everything's the right height for them. And so you come through this office area here, and you've just got your hot desking area. You've got your seating area, your sort of meeting area, if you wanted to go and have a coffee or whatever. And then you can come back down this way, and this is like your private meeting area. This probably needs a bit more clutter. It needs things like post-it notes on the walls and notice boards and stuff all along here, but it's a bit difficult when they don't exist, and it's difficult to make them in game as well. So if you do happen to come across any, please let me know, because they would be awesome fitting in here. So yeah, then we just come across this way, just some more decor, just some more hot desks and clutter and stuff. And then there's the doorway here. This in real life goes into the actual staff room, but in game life it actually comes out and the doors match, so you would almost come through from the office to this reception and back again if that's what you wanted to do. So yes, and then I've just put some other stuff in behind it as well. So I've started this aspect of where I'm going to place my first rides, and this was just to generate people coming into the park really. And then I just put some more vending machines at the back here. This is sort of feels... Oh look, quick! It's 10 o'clock. So there's the pyros, there's some smoke. And then confetti. And what would then be happening is the gates would be raising at this point. You'd have some music, but I've muted it because it's a YouTube video, so get copyright claimed if it had actual music. Even in-game music gets claimed, so I just don't do it. But yeah, you would have some kind of opening fanfare, opening music, countdown, whatever. Yeah, so anyway, back to it. So I put the vending machines in here, and I've started to lay out the gift shop and how I want it. And the reason I've started to do that is because I needed access to this roof. So they're going to need to get up here, right? So I've sort of done it through the locker area, and there might be a corridor actually that comes down this way through the business reception. And then they would come up the stairs and onto the roof, and then they would walk along. And I'm going to make this bit a lot wider, so this fence won't be here in version 2. I'm going to move it down, but for now it's just representing what the roof space would actually look like. Yeah, so they would come up along here, do their piece, then come back and go downstairs. So I've also, the last thing is just putting the parking tickets in. So parking tickets and some paraphernalia, like telephones and decorations and stuff, just to make sure that people are buying their stuff. I did try hiding ATMs behind them, but they sort of sink into the wall of the other office, so I decided to take them out and just have them there as a facsimile instead. So then we come into the other office. The other office is pretty much the same setup, same sort of ceiling, just got some clutter along the side here though, just to give it a bit of variation. And then you've also got this break room area that sort of sits back here as well, just cluttered up with some posters and the famous muck bucket. And then the other side again, not so many desks down here, but more storage space for stuff, more filing cabinets and stuff like that. So, and an autosave. And then this is the final area then. This is pretty much how everything is going to go. So the plan of action for the next episode, I want to get the locker area done. I want to get the business area done, the toilets that are going to sit here, guest services, and also probably this area here, just to shore up this whole area. So anyway, I hope you have really enjoyed this episode. I've really enjoyed building this one actually. It's coming on really nicely. It's better than my first 2 attempts for sure. So I'm glad that I'm able to release this one. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to follow the series, then you know what to do. Subscribe. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time, everybody. I really look forward to the next episode, and I'll see you all soon. Keep yourself safe. Bye bye.